What's up, everyone? I'm Dennis from Super Parapros, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my Charlotte Katakuri deck profile. This time from OP08.5 because Katakuri is a deck that can always keep on winning, and I recently just won a decent sized local at my local card shop, and it was during the tournament for the Star Deck pre-release event. But I got to use my full power Katakuri deck because everyone agreed that we were just going to use regular decks for the event. So it was a bunch of regular decks. I defeated Reijus, Marco, and Dofis on the way there. So let me tell you how I did that and how this deck improved immensely with the new starter deck stuff. So first, let's look at the good old cards of Pudding. Pudding is your searcher. Unfortunately, she only looks for 4 cards, not 5, but she can also look for a Sanji. That's why I still play some blocker Sanji. So 4 searching puddings is a must. It helps you find your big moms and everything else that you'll need in your deck while going. 2 cost Shirahoshi. This one has the effect of when it gets KO'd by an effect, you get to get a free life, so people don't usually do that. And she's a perfect card against Rob Lucci, which is a very strong meta deck still. So this card is very anti-Rob Lucci. That's why I make room for just 2 of her. And besides that, she's still just a good blocker to play if you're about to lose and you need to stall an extra turn. Play her and you get to live a little longer. Onami. This card here is very important in the Dofi matchup because she knocks out on trigger a card that costs 5 or less. She has an on play to give a banish effect, but I rarely do that unless I really have nothing else going on. But mainly she's for a decent trigger and a 1k discard. Up next, Capone Veggies. This is a 2k and a pretty nasty trigger to just stop an opponent's attack. So when they're about to win, it makes them not about to win. And your leader's effect, you just keep on adjusting your life, so everything's all good. You just get to put it at the bottom when you see it with your leader's effect. And after that, we have Charlotte Pero, the 3-drop for 5,000 power. So it's pretty decent when you just hard play it. The stats are really good being 3/5. And then when it gets KO'd by effect or by battle, you get to look at 3 cards and pick up a Big Mom Parrot card. So that's not bad either. Love the Peros. This here is a new card from the latest starter deck 20 that he came in. But Charlotte Brulé is a really good 2k. So its trigger is a trigger that's super free. You get to always use it every single time to adjust your life just like your leader's effect or adjust the top of the opponent's life. And then she goes back to your hand so you don't even lose anything for doing it. So that's what I mean by she is super free to activate. Very awesome card to have. Up next, I still play Kikuko Nojo. I just play 2 because in some matchups she's pretty horrible. She was useless when RP Law was around, but she's also pretty bad against Dofi, so that's why I lowered her, but still very strong against Rob Lucci, which is another very powerful deck. So gotta love playing her. Also good against black-yellow Luffy. Decent card for that. I've kept 2 Sanjis. Oh, well, I skipped her effect. Her effect is obviously that if your opponent has 3 left or less, when she dies, you get to get a free life on top of your deck. So that's why she's good. So 2 of hers. Sanji. This is the blocker, just 4/5, and trigger, you just discard one to play him. Well, pretty decent to play on early game or even in the late game, and obviously your favorite part about him is when you have him at trigger. When you're at the end of the game, you're about to lose, you can trigger a Capone Veggie or a Sanji, you'll be just as happy. And then when he comes out, you save him, you get to attack with him the next turn, either way. I have just 1 cracker. 1 cracker for the double attack because it's very powerful against matchups like Zoro, or if a Dofi player decides to play in a rush down mode because they spam the board so fast. This guy gets double attack when you're lower on life, so he kind of evens out the game and could possibly steal you a win. So 1 cracker doesn't hurt. This guy is new from the starter deck as well. Charlotte Katakuri. This is the blocker, 5/6 with a counter, and then every turn, activate main, you just have to flip a life over for you to get your leader or a character a free Dawn. And I always give it to the leader because the leader's effect puts him at 7,000 power. So I like him, and he's decent because he's also a blocker. This deck doesn't play many blockers. In fact, the only blockers I have is 2 Sanji and 2 Charlotte Katakuri. So that's why they're pretty good for that. And again, powering up your leader is pretty damn good. I'm still playing 2 of Shirahoshi, the 5-drop. This is the one that on play lets you draw 3 and trash 2. And the trigger obviously plays the card out, which is pretty damn good. You can easily remove her for other cards that I'll show you in a bit, but also for more Charlotte Katakuris if you don't want it. But I still like the trigger. I really appreciate the draw power because this deck discards a lot for your trigger effect, so she kind of helps with the hand size. But not the most important card in the deck, but still a good trigger. Up next, y'all are going to hate me for this, but I'm playing 2 Satori because I made room for all these other variety of triggers. It's a 2K, yes, but the trigger, you have to play him, and it's a discard. So I'd rather have triggers to hit like Shirahoshi or Cracker. For example, in the early game, you don't really ever want to play him too often. But I'm still considering bumping him up. I'm probably going to take out a Shirahoshi and maybe Cracker or maybe Sanji. So very easily you can bump this up to 4 yourself. But like I said, this is I ended up winning with this with just having 2 of them. Your total is 10 2Ks in the deck. So that's really not bad at all. Up next, we have Nami. This is one from OP08, so also relatively new. So she on play gets to trash a trigger card from your hand to knock out a 5 cost or less, which is pretty good. And then if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, you get a free draw. So love playing Nami. The trigger does the same thing as the on play effect, so it still knocks things out just like Onami, but you have to discard a card. So very good in the Dofi matchup as well. Also, when your opponent is about to lose, they start setting up blockers or a blocker to try to win. You play her, discard, knock something out, and you get to win. Last week I was playing, I got to knock out my opponent's 5 cost queen in their purple Luffy deck, and I won because of that, because I just got to do her on play and just knock out a card for free. So I love doing that. Up next, here is Gedatsu. Gedatsu is for the same reason of Nami, that he just likes to knock something out. When your opponent's holding on to life early, his effect is pretty useful. But to be fully honest with you, I didn't even see him that much today in tournament, and I just discarded him when I did. So I am highly considering replacing Gedatsu for 2 other Satoru's, Saturis, or another Onami and another Onami. So Gedatsu is honestly about to leave the deck, so you can actually disregard him. I'm really not a fan of him, but he was in the deck profile. Up next, Charlotte Lin Lin. This thing here is the best thing of the new deck. I love her effect. It's on play. You get to trash 1 from your hand for your opponent to trash 2 from their hand or trash their top life. So a bad choice for them either way, and then you're left with a 7,000 beater for the next turn. So I gotta love Charlotte Lin Lin, and you get to save Dawn by giving it to your leader because she costs so little. 6 Dawn for that is pretty crazy. Lower down the next up, I've lowered down the Lin Lin, the old one, to just 2 copies, because sometimes you don't see the 6 drop enough, so at least this is the next best thing you can play. So I left room for 2 of hers. Same effect as this, but you gain a life or your opponent trashes 1. Next, I'm playing just 1 Charlotte Katakuri, the 8 drop. 1 of him because this deck has no way to deal with Eustace Kid, the green one. So if you're facing a deck like Uta or Bonnie, it can come up and they could throw it on you, and guess what? You're just screwed and you cannot defeat it. So Charlotte Katakuri is the only way I have to compete against that. And also, if you hard play Onami, put that thing back on top of your life, or put back a Shirahoshi back on top of your life. It's also pretty good. So that's why I play 1 of him. And up next, I'm only playing 3 of the big bad 10 drop mom because sometimes games go too fast, and by the time you're at 10 Dawn, you're already about to lose, so that if you play this, you just lose. So you don't need 4. Also, when you need one, you have 4 Charlotte Puddings to search it. You have Charlotte Pero Pero to search it. So there's many ways to find this. And like I said, most games today, they're a little bit more fast-paced. They're not too much control, that you end up having such little life. By the time you reach 10 Dawn, this isn't something you play every single game, even if you have it in hand. That's what I've noticed, so I've lowered it down from 4 to 3. That's why in turn I'll play 6 drops and the 7 drop Lin Lins. I think they're more important than her at this meta game today. So 3 of that. Up next, one of my favorite cards to play with Trigger. And if your leader's effect sees it, put it to the bottom of your deck. Bottom of your life pile, and then you get a free life at the end, as if you're an NL leader. And a 0-3 event, you play a few cards that have no counters, as you can see, so pretty good just to get 3,000 counter power for something. So I've got 2 of that. Last and probably not least, 200 million volts Amaru. You get to give a character 3,000 power for the cost of 2 Dawn, and then rest something that costs 4 or less if you have 1 or less life cards. This is good at beating decks like Dofi, Lucci, because their blockers are very low cost. And if they think they're going to win because they set up a blocker, you play this. Boom, you rested their blocker, bypass that, and you increase the power of a character or a leader. So a very decent card to have. And also the trigger is something you can move to the bottom with your leader's effect or with Charlotte Brulé's effect. So yeah, not a bad choice either. So this is the full deck profile. I couldn't fit it all on screen because I guess I didn't set up my camera right. Whatever. Anyways, this is the this is the deck that I used to win today's tournament. I'm not gonna open this up. I think it's just a Zoro that's a pre-release event. A Zoro that does banish or something like that. I'll put a picture of him. I know what he is, but yeah, I'm just gonna keep this sealed for now. And yeah, that's my Katakuri deck profile, pretty much for the foreseeable future until better stuff comes out. But like I said, he's a really favorite deck of mine because you can win any tournament with this deck. It's literally just trigger reliance. It has the power to top any event that you possibly want. You just got to get a little lucky, and with a little luck, you win. So if you're a lazy player, this is the deck for you because you don't even got to try that hard. You just have to get lucky with triggers and go based off that. So hope you enjoy Katakuri. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.